In our experience in the Presbyterian Church, we've all experienced a church that makes a terrific difference in the community and in an area. So just imagine what 15 churches working together can do in a larger area in mission and ministry for the glory of God. And I'm watching that happen right here in Lawrence County, South Carolina, in the Lawrence County cluster of smaller membership churches. That is happening right now, right here.
What I have seen in the cluster that gives me hope is that we can come together through our diversities with a God-given common purpose, that is to build up the kingdom of God.
I am passionate about the smaller church, in particular anything that will enable the small church to be what it's supposed to be, especially in the area of mission. What will get a church moving from a survival way of thinking, inward way of thinking, and becoming missional and reaching out in service and witness through word and deed.
What we've experienced here in South Carolina is as smaller membership churches lose energy because they can no longer afford an installed pastor, and certainly not a full-time pastor. And so they make do with stated supply or retired pastors and part-time leadership. And their energy drops. They begin to concentrate on survival.
In the smaller member congregation, often we are survivalists at best. A lot of times it's almost navel-gazing. You concentrate so much on yourself that you forget what the living God has for us as a calling in our lives. And that is that we are to go, as the commission said, to go and do.
What the cluster does is to move the focus of congregations outside themselves so that they begin to look around in the community and ask the question, what is God doing in this community?
Well, I think our cluster has been blessed in a unique way, because within our geographic bounds there are 3 institutions that are related to the Presbyterian Church: a Presbyterian College, Thornwell Home for Children, as well as Presbyterian Communities, which is a retirement home. And we have interacted with each of those institutions in different ways.
The cluster churches, the smaller membership churches, just embrace our children and make them feel very, very special. And that's something they haven't had before they came to Thornwell. The fact that our children can be a part of the life of the church, and you don't often get that perhaps in larger churches. Our kids, the work of Thornwell is meeting the needs of children who've been severely abused, abandoned, neglected, have seen the worst that life can offer in their very, very young lives.
The Children's Home are sending their children to our cluster churches, which has made them feel a very vital part of particular congregations. And I think it's interesting they chose to come to our smaller churches rather than to the larger churches.
They're able to be in Sunday school classes, they're able to be in gyms, Boy Scouts, and the life of the church, where they're interacting with people of faith, people who are mentoring them, people who are making a huge impact in their lives. And it is going both ways. We're engaged in 3 churches in this community, and it is energized the churches to have our children because they are energetic and they have lots of questions.
When they closed the church at Thornwell, then those people had to find another church to keep the kids in church. And we got the little ones, which has really been a blessing to us.
I like the Church of Bethany because it's a church that teaches you about God, and I learn a lot of things about it.
Their learning service, you can't be the victim, and we will not allow our children to be victims. And so we're constantly promoting service projects. To see them go to the Harvest Hope Food Bank and pack boxes for people who don't have food, or to go and visit it at the Presbyterian home or Memorial home here in Clinton and do puppet shows and just spend time with people who have been forgotten also on the other end of the spectrum. And so our kids have that opportunity in this cluster of churches to be connected.
Now then we reach out into the community too. Smaller churches realize that there's a great need in our area of the state in food toward the end of the month when the support networks have dried up. People are looking for other options. And so a food bank has become a possibility, and a lot of the small churches have participated in that.
From this food bank, we have sent out well over 100, maybe over 200 boxes of food to needy people. It's contributed to by all the various churches in the cluster, and any person in the cluster who knows of a family who is in need of some help with food can call and get a box, come and pick up a box, and then take it to whomever might need it. When I think of the value of the cluster to others, I think about this community, this mill community here, where so many people are hungry. And this is one way to help them to be fed.
And many times, even in the coming together, there is a synergy of ideas, and hope is reignited. You can see encouragement in people's eyes. For example, you want to do something in youth ministry, and your congregation has 2 people. Down the street, another congregation has 3 youngsters of different age. And each one of those congregations are trying to go solo. It does not make sense. Why not come together and do youth ministry together?
The real value of clustering churches together, working together as a team, is to get more done, better, more effectively, and to have that message just spread and explode. So I'm calling Spears Creek Baptist Church, there's Todd Memorial, Lydia Presbyterian, Joanna Baptist. I mean, different denominations, different sized churches all come together to put camp on to create an awesome experience for these youth, but also to go out into the community and show how working together as a group of churches instead of individually actually helps get more work done more efficiently and effectively.
It is exciting when you think about what the cluster is doing locally, but that's not all it does. It is a global dimension. I like John Stott's quote that says, we need to be global Christians with a global vision because our God is a global God.
One of the key benefits to the cluster mentality, not just the cluster, but the cluster mentality, is that it allows a congregation, a small congregation, insignificant in a lot of ways, to have direct connection to international ministry.
What I have seen the cluster do and participate in that first gave me the knowledge that coming together, that you can accomplish much. There was a hurricane in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and we came together, pooled our resources, and sent tons of food down to Haiti and the Dominican Republic.
Early on in the cluster life, we heard of a catastrophic hurricane hitting the Dominican Republic. We knew some of the people down there. We thought we've got to do something. Within 2 weeks' time, we raised money, bought relief goods down in Miami, got a Christian organization to move that to American Airlines Terminal. American Airlines shipped it in free of charge to the Dominican Republic. 15 tons of goods, these small church got to the Dominican Republic. Now, when you're sitting around a table and you have folks from small churches of 12 or 15 and they have just heard the report of what they've done together, hope is reignited. New possibilities. People start dreaming again.
Here at one of the cluster meetings, I saw this brochure in regards to a possibility child, so I filled out my application and gave it to Reverend Colligan, and that's the beginning of my help for children in Haiti.
What we're experiencing to be the benefits of clustering is the mobilization of people to get involved in mission in their own communities, but in places in the world that they couldn't possibly accomplish on their own. places like Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Mexico. This kind of outreach on their part has been unimaginable in the past because of their size, their limited size.
I want to make a case of why you should seriously consider the notion of small churches collaborating in doing ministry and mission. You know, why you should consider cooperative parishes or clustering, building networks and partnerships among churches. First of all, I think there is a clear biblical mandate. I think the Lord's death wish, John 17, Father, may they be one, that the world might know that you have sent me. The world needs to see visible harmony and unity as mission and ministry is being carried out.
What's happening here in Lawrence County is that people see groups of congregations that partner together, that are present to one another. So they see that happening. And what that brings out of them is a question, what is this about?
We can come together and we can demonstrate to the world that we can be one.
The greatest and best value of the cluster to our congregation and to me as pastor is that it allows us to be the church unencumbered by smallness.
What did God intend the church to be? Why did He bring it into existence? What is its purpose?
The real value of clustering churches together, working together as a team, is to get more done, better, more effectively, and to have that message just spread and explode.
The reason churches should cluster is that churches are stronger together than they are separate.
What can be accomplished when you come together that you could never accomplish by yourself?
The Lawrence County cluster is already an example for the denomination. And if we can begin to do that in other places in the presbytery, that can be, I trust, a model for other presbyteries, other synods, and indeed the whole denomination. For smaller membership churches working together to begin to embody the gospel of Jesus Christ in their places all over the country. Wouldn't that be wonderful?